welcome to this week's episode of What One Thing, one business, one story, one lesson to take away and action every week for small business owners looking to grow. I'm Hayley Baxter.
And I'm Phil Davenport, and today we have the pleasure of talking to Catherine Louise Wenborn. And Catherine, take us back, if you would, and tell us a little bit about your journey to how you came to start your own business.
Hello there, good morning. So yes, thanks very much for the opportunity to come on today. It's a real pleasure to talk to you. How I got into the law is a long story, and I started practicing in Kent, where I'm from originally, and then moved up to the Midlands in or around 2005. There was an opportunity at my firm where I was employed to become an equity partner, but I didn't want to do that at that stage. It wasn't the right time for me to do that. And the opportunity came up to set up Vines Legal. And I embraced that opportunity, and here we are today.
So what was that opportunity, Catherine?
Well, the opportunity was to leave the current firm that I was employed, and the firm that I was with allowed me to take 4 files and set up Vines Legal. So set up with 4 files and built it from there.
So what drove you kind of emotionally to go from, I'm assuming pretty successful in the old practice, if you will do, to how did you have the conversation with them? Did you say that you were leaving, or what did that look like?
Well, basically, at that point, when I took the decision to set up Vines Legal, I felt that as an employee, there wasn't as much scope for me to explore some ideas and some aspirations for my career that I wanted. I had a lot of ideas, and at the time there was quite a complex partnership structure, and it wasn't always possible for people to deal with the ideas, understandably, at the speed that sometimes you wanted them to be dealt with. And I thought, well, this is an opportunity to set something up and explore ideas and be able to go through with them if appropriate.
That's a great start to a new business, because often some of the challenges in a new, well, it's not even in a new business, let's face it, it's an ongoing challenge for all business owners, getting new clients and keeping your client portfolio in the right place for you. How did you go about growing your client portfolio from that point?
Well, what I did was I was given the opportunity to share premises with a group of other people. So then I explored various local marketing initiatives, including some magazines circulated in Derbyshire. Less social media at that time because it wasn't as prevalent, it wasn't as focused on social media as it is now, and gradually built it from the offer in these magazines of a free initial consultation, which I still offer now as part of the firm, and gradually the client portfolio grew to the point that it is now, and we still do a lot of marketing initiatives, more sort of networking, less so when I first set up. It was more magazines and publications, but it all helped to build up the brand and build up the practice.
So just to clarify, Catherine, so how long has Vines Legal been going for now?
16 years this year, Phil.
So we're talking 2000.
We are. That's when the company was incorporated.
And could you tell me, what's one decision that you made early on in that first year that really kind of made a massive improvement, that you're really glad you made that decision?
I think that the offer of a free initial consultation to all new clients has been a good strategy. I think in the type of work that we do, which is matrimonial and family law, which covers a very diverse base of work, people really do need to meet the people that are going to be dealing potentially with their case for a no obligation consultation before they take the decision to go ahead, because there's so many different things to think about, emotional pulls and pushes, and people need to just take a minute to understand a broad overview of what they're going to be entering into. So in answer to your question, the free initial consultation has proved to be a very positive move, which is why we're continuing with it now.
And did you always know that? Because niching often comes up in the world of business. Did you always know, or did you always go down the path of working in that area of law? Was that what you always wanted to do, or did it just sort of happen and evolve naturally?
Well, what happened was that when I was training and just qualified, I practiced down at a firm in Kent. And basically, there was a situation at the time where I was originally doing predominantly personal injury work. But one day, the head of the family department decided to leave and basically just left. And there was a situation where I was called in to the senior partner's office and said, right then, here you go. Here's a load of family law files. Go and crack on, basically. And so I took the files. I was very, very junior and basically went through them all, and basically it was a bit of a baptism of fire, but I realised that I enjoyed the work and it was an area of law that I enjoyed. If you'd asked me right at the start of my career, because I qualified as a solicitor in 1998, I would have said probably not. I had ideas of other areas of law, but, you know, circumstances and fate played a part, and now I enjoy the family law, which is why I've decided to be niche. We did do, a while ago, some civil litigation and a few other things, but I found that it was easier to present as a niche. We were keeping up to date with all the changes. It was more difficult to diversify with the size of the team that we were.
What point in your journey, so you set your business up, you've got your client files, you've started to market, at what point did you make the decision to take on an employee or expand your team? Because that's always a pivotal moment in people's business journeys.
Probably within the first year or so. I was fortunate insofar as where I originally set up, there was a lady who is now my co-director, Claire Clark, who was working in the building, and she had done her law degree and was interested in gaining the qualifications and further training to become a solicitor. So she joined me, and she's still with me now in the capacity of my co-director and a very valued member of the team. And then as time went on, it was a slow growth, it wasn't immediate. Gradually people came through. We took the decision in 2012 to move to bigger premises in Chesterfield, and gradually the team started to grow.
So just to dig down into that, we talk about sometimes hiring and employing people based on, do we go for qualifications or do we go for values, whether they're a cultural fit? So just talk me through, did you kind of woo your now fellow director, or did you think my workload's getting too big, or did you think, you know what, I've just got too much cash in the bank account, I need to distribute this, or what drove that decision?
Don't be talking about cash in the bank account, Phil. Basically, I could see an opportunity for Claire and I could see an opportunity for the company. And that was the driver. It's always quite a leap of faith, isn't it, when you first take on your first employee? But I could see an opportunity on both sides, and I thought, you know, we're getting some work in, and now it's important that we deliver a good service. So I'm not sure whether I necessarily wooed anybody, but it certainly was an opportunity. I don't think I'm known for wooing. But it was an opportunity on both sides, which was eagerly taken. And gradually things evolved. I'm all for organic growth as part of the company. I don't want to just pick fruit off trees. We ideally want to organically grow the team. And for the majority of the team, that is what has happened.
So we've talked a lot about the beginning and how you started and how that began to evolve. Coming up to sort of the more of the present day, what does your day-to-day look like now within the business, and how does that differ from those earlier years?
Okay, so my role since I first started has quite significantly changed. So at the beginning, I was very much on the tools, working directly on client files, building the business, working on the files and building the cases. Probably in the last couple of years, what's happened is that I've had to now focus more on the business development side of things as the team has grown. Myself and Claire do quite a few networking activities, but it's my principal job to build the business, to build the client network. So whilst Claire does some, it's principally my responsibility to make sure that there is sufficient work coming through the door. And what I do is I do the free initial consultations with the new clients, and then if they wish to proceed, they are normally allocated to one of the solicitors in the firm for them to do the actual work. And that is because I'm in and out as part of the business development, as part of all the other things that you have to do as a managing director. I'm out of the office, and the clients will get a better service if one of the solicitors, including Claire, is in the office working on the cases. I also, as part of my role as MD, have to deal with all of the regulation, any HR issues, although Claire does assist me with that in part, and all the things that come with working in a business or on a business. Do I think that I'm in my comfort zone doing that? Not always, and I have found the transition quite difficult at times because I'm very much a person that wants to get stuck into the cases, but it is a model that seems to be working well, because it's no good me working on the tools and nobody then building up the business or making sure that all of the other areas of the business and all the other things that we need to do are functioning properly. And so I had the benefit of some business coaching several years ago, and that was very clearly communicated, and that is the model that I have adopted, which seems, for the most part, to be working okay.
What was the point where you decided to reach out for business coaching?
It was actually after or just before the end of COVID, where at the time I was a little bit, I think as we all were, exhausted by the whole thing, trying to keep the rails on everything, business and personal, with all of the restrictions that were put down. And I think that there was at one point I thought, you know what, I really do need, it's almost like the battery had gone dead and I needed it pumping up, and the business needed, because everyone was working from home as we were required to do. I was in the office on my own, and there was a lack of direction, I felt, at the time, and I thought, if we're going to push this forwards, what do we need to be doing? And I had a chat with a business coach, and he said, I think this is the right time for you to be thinking about, right, what do we need to do? What do we need to build? How do we grow? And I think it was a very, very good thing to do, and the best advice I've received, actually.
So that was probably, I'm going to say 13, 14 years into business. The vast majority of us as small business owners have moved from what I would describe as engineer to suddenly there's an epiphany, and I've certainly had an epiphany moment. I think most of the people we've talked to on the podcast have had an epiphany moment where they say, actually, do you know what, I want to be a business owner, and I've got staff and I need to be doing this. What was your was there an epiphany moment where you were sat there at your desk, or did you just start chatting to a business coach and think, my God, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago, or how did the process look?
No, I don't think it was something that I thought I should have done before. I think it was very much focused on the fact that COVID left everybody ragged. The business obviously survived and went forward during COVID, and that is a credit to my team, because it was a very, very difficult period for everyone. But I think it was at the COVID point, when we were coming through it, I thought, where are we going with this? And like I say, almost a flat battery, trying to keep the rails on everything, and I thought, right, going forwards, I need some help to determine, where are we going? Where's the firm going? What are our goals? What do we want to achieve? And almost a bit like the business coach, providing the necessary fuel to refuel the batteries. Because at that point, I was very much working in the business during COVID out of necessity as much as anything else. And therefore, I was worried that some of the on the business stuff wasn't getting done, and it was a bit of a vicious circle. So the business coach encouraged me and Claire to think about, right, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve?
How did you find the transition of moving from working on the business to being into sort of stepping into your new role?
Oh, well, it was quite challenging and still is quite challenging because I'm a bit of a micromanager, as everyone will say, and this is part of the reason that business coaching was also a good idea, to try and move me away from that. I'm very nosy. I think I was an aardvark in a former life, nose being stuck in everything. You know, well, what's going on here? What's going on? And it was quite a transition because, as I say, even now, not all of the stuff I have to do is necessarily in my comfort zone or even in my training zone, but it absolutely has to be done. And as a small team, we have to think about, well, how do we do that? And if we were to get people in, like a practice manager or an HR manager actually employed, I'm not sure that would be a good use of resources, because ultimately it is the responsibility of myself and also Claire to make sure that the thing is run properly. All the regulation, as I'm sure any lawyer listening to this would agree, can be quite heavy going at times. However, it is very necessary as part of the running of a firm. But it's quite a scary time with all of the cybersecurity issues and all the other things that are going on with money laundering and everything else. It's very, very important that all of that is kept on top of, and that is also part of my role.
It's really interesting. So something I've found quite challenging since going on a similar journey and embracing that, I'm not speaking for Phil, but I think he will probably agree, is that bit where when you're hands-on and you're in it and you're doing it, you keep up to date more so with like how things are changing and how, you know, making sure that you're most efficient in delivering that service to the client. And when you step away from that or step into more of this kind of leader role and the role that you need to be, you've still got a team there that need to be managed, that need to do things in the most effective and efficient way, and making sure that they're delivering the service to your clients the way that you want it deliver it. And I find that a little bit of a challenge sometimes. How do you deal with that in your business? How do you make sure that the service delivery of your team delivering it is how you want it to be in the vision of your business?
Well, what we do, Claire and I, is have regular reviews with team members, and we also have a regular team meeting, probably once a month at least, more if required, so that we have a general catch up on any areas of difficulty. We're a small team, so therefore I always encourage, as does Claire, an open door policy, whereby if there are any queries or there are any problems, that they are shared at an early point so that we can resolve them. It's a very collaborative work environment that we hopefully offer, where people are free to come at any point and ask questions. We do file reviews. I make sure that everyone is okay and on top, and I'm here to help people or team members if they require it. So it is a case that whilst I may not be working directly on the files, I'm very much an overseer of everything. I am familiar with most of the cases because it would have been myself that would have seen the clients at the beginning. Yeah. So I'm familiar with some of the issues, and, you know, like I say, it's an open door policy. People are welcome to come in and ask me at any point with anything of difficulty.
So Phil and I often talk about 3 levers to help your business. You're either trying to grow revenue, trying to cut costs, or trying to improve efficiency. What's what one thing that you would share to help other businesses?
Right, well, I would say from my own experience, and all 3 of these are basically encapsulated, is make sure that you take advice from people that know what they're talking about. And what I mean by that is that we're all good at what we do. So law, accounts, IT, the three of us know what we're doing in that regard. But when it comes to things outside of your comfort zone, like, managing a business, managing a team, take advice from people that know what they're doing. So we've had the benefit of the business coach, as I've explained to you. And also I've had the benefit of management and leadership training, which Claire and I did together by U Transition, which was really good. Because trying to manage a team, people think, well, it's common sense what you need to do. Well, it really isn't, because everybody's very different. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different expectations. How I might view something, being as I am of the older generation, might be very different to how somebody of a younger generation would view it. And that can create difficulty unless you know how to manage it. So don't be afraid. The advice I would give is don't be afraid to take advice from people. We have very good accountants. We have Hayley now doing our payroll. Outsource as much as you can. We've got decent telephone answering services from paperclip. I find that to all be very, very beneficial in the efficiency of running a firm. So take advice would be my option. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
I suppose my question that I'd ask you, I love kind of your free consultation, because I always think people by people. However technical, however clever, however much marketing we do, ultimately, especially with something as personal as all of our firms and our services, people by people, you need to know that the person you're working with is going to be a good fit for you. How did you pick your, if we call them mentors or your training providers or whatever word, how did you go through that process to think who's going to be the right fit for me and my business to mentor me, to help out?
Well, to be honest, it was quite easy because I was in BNI, well, I still am in BNI, but the people that I've used have all come from Business Network International, where they are trusted providers. You get to know them and they're trusted providers of services. So these people were already known to me. And I didn't just, wake up one morning and think, I think it might be a good idea to do X and Y. I'd listened to what they'd said in their presentations each week. And, as things evolved, like I say, after the COVID situation, I thought, what Mark is saying about goal setting and coaching, I think that could be something that we could work with. Employing a receptionist was unnecessary and not efficient in terms of company resources when we could outsource our telephone answering to paperclip. And that continues to work really well. How do I manage a team? Well, I've really benefited from Chris's input. I met Chrissy at BNI, View Transition, and understood very clearly how she could work well within my business. And then I could go on and on about other people that I've used, outsourcing VAs, all of that stuff. But, the thing is, you can't be good at everything, and, make sure that you choose people that you work with that can help you.
It was a fantastic answer. I loved it. The next thing is a shameless plug. Catherine, tell people what's a little bit about your business, a little bit about the kind of people that you can help, and how people can get in touch with you if they think, Catherine's the kind of person I'd like to work with.
So we are niche family law specialists. Family law covers a very wide area of services. So we deal with people's situations pre-marriage. So they may be looking to live together. One party might have more money to put in than the other. They may benefit from a cohabitation contract. People looking to protect assets. Maybe they're getting married second or third time around. They might benefit from a prenuptial agreement. So that's at the start of a journey, all the way through to the unfortunate situation if people separate in a relationship. We deal with married and unmarried situations and all that the financial consequences that go with that, including property, businesses, pensions, overseas assets, all of that. And we also deal with situations where there are children involved that people need help in sorting out their arrangement, and cases, sadly, of domestic abuse where people need help and signposting to navigate the best help for them. So it is a very, very wide area, and the free initial consultation that is offered covers all of those. So why should people come to Vines? Well, we like to think and hope people think that we are friendly, approachable, professional people that do what we say on the tin. And we have a lovely office space in Chesterfield at the Northern Gateway Enterprise Centre, and people can look forward to pleasant surroundings if they wish to come in and have a meeting at the office. Alternatively, we can do a telephone call or a video call to suit them as part of the free initial consultation. So, it is very much the case that when people meet you for the first time, you get a view of them, and as we're very transparent, it isn't going to be me that deals with the case, but we're all of the same mould, and although people's personalities come into the equation, we all know what we're doing, and we all share the firm's vision and mission, which is to offer a dedicated service and a bespoke service to our clients.
And how would they get in touch with you, Catherine? Would it be LinkedIn or website or...?
There is a website, there is a telephone number which is on the website. LinkedIn is fine if people want to look at LinkedIn. Yeah, there's a number of different ways that people can get in touch. Telephone is probably the most common. Website inquiry, we have a website inquiry facility. Yes, people are welcome to contact us in any of those ways.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you found one thing to help move your business forward.
And if you did, please do us a favour, share this episode with someone that's on the same journey and might be helped out by this podcast.